what you think of is the hood, right? Like, this is home. This is Memphis. It doesn't mean I was in a gang. Right. Like, just because I grew up here doesn't mean I was in a gang. It doesn't mean that I didn't do well in school, or the fact that I did a public school doesn't mean I'm not academically fit. Right. I was. And so what that gave me to give my students was, you don't have to be the private school. Beautiful. And you don't have to write, because I'm here with you.
This is a journey.
Let me take you on a journey.
There will still be the journey.
The journey.
New sheriff in town, and his name is
The journey.
Journey.
This thing is bigger than Nino Brown. This is
the journey.
The journey.
What is it that moved you?
The journey. The journey. The journey. The journey. The journey.
Welcome back to another episode of The Journey. I'm your host, Larry Robinson, and today we have a Memphis icon that I'm sure you're gonna love. But before we get to him, let's start with our quote. Our quote is from the 44th President of the United States. If you're walking down the right path and you're willing to keep walking, eventually you'll make progress. And what that says to me, guys and girls, is that if you are walking down the right path, that path is going to straighten out. If you're going through a storm, guess what? Keep going through, because you're going to get to the other side and things are going to look a whole lot better. So today, we have Gadson, William, Perry, brother who has done a lot of things. He's been an academic. He's an educator. He's an attorney. He's been a corporate attorney. And he also was a partner at the law firm of Butler Snow. Now, this brother's straight out of Craigmont High School and Wake Forest University. So he spent a little bit of time in North Kakalaki. Listen, here comes the judge. Sir, Judge William Perry. What's up? What's up, Will?
Good to see you, brother. Appreciate you.
Man, first off, you gotta tell me about Gadson.
Sure.
Where the name, that ain't no regular brother name.
It's not. So Gadson is my grandfather's name. So
Okay.
It's my mother's father's name.
Okay.
And then William is my father's middle name.
Oh.
So I'm Gadson William.
Oh, that's
and then
cool.
my baby brother is Derek Anderson. Anderson is my dad's first name.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah.
That's awesome.
Family on both sides.
All right.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. So early on, tell me what part of town and where you grew up, and tell me about the community a little bit.
Sure. I grew up in Raleigh.
Okay.
I was what they used to call a latchkey kid. I used to walk to school. I used
Right,
to walk to
right.
Craigmont. So my parents' house is still, 2 minutes from Craigmont.
So Will, outside of your parents, who made the biggest impact on young Will Perry?
That's a hard question to answer.
Okay.
Right? Because my parents, civil rights era black folk. Right?
Okay,
My dad
okay.
was born in 1950.
Okay.
My mother was born whatever would keep her 25 forever. Right. But I mean, my dad remembers picking tobacco for $5 a day because he couldn't work as a waiter at a segregated restaurant. Right. So they shaped me very, there's a lot of influence in my parents, but my parents also came from that kind of school that, it takes a village to raise a child. So I would say the parents of my closest friends, my principal, my kindergarten principal, I just met with her last week.
Okay, come on, give her a shout out. Give her a shout out.
Margaret Woods from Evans Elementary. She might as well have been an extension of my parents,
Really?
Treated me like calls me her son.
Okay.
So my folk, I think black folks of that time were really invested in the idea of village upbringing, like my friends' parents could discipline me.
Right.
I knew I couldn't behave any differently with them
Wait a
than I
minute,
could
you're talking
in front
about
of my
discipline.
folks.
What did that discipline look like?
That meant spankings. Back when I was a kid, belts, ping pong paddles.
Whatever they could put their hands on.
Whatever the weapon of choice might have been at the time.
Right.
Back in the day, the principals at the school, they had paddles.
Right.
Miss Woods had a big paddle with holes in it.
Man, dude, I got some of that.
Yeah, that's right.
I got some of
that's
that.
right.
I got some of that act right.
That's exactly right. Yeah, the one and only time I got sent to the principal's office in school.
Wait a minute. The judge got sent to the principal?
Got sent to the principal's office, Miss Woods. Okay. And I had seen that paddle, I had been talking in class. I got sent to the paddle, and I was having such a fit by the time I got to the office, like, oh no, the principal, the paddle's so big.
Right.
My folks already told me, if I get a whooping in school, it's a 3 beating day. Parents gonna whoop you.
Hyperventilate.
Yeah. So I get to the office and I was hyperventilating so bad, the principal started laughing. She called my father, he started laughing. So they're laughing on the phone. I didn't even get a whooping because they thought it was so funny. I was terrified.
Oh, wow.
Village upbringing, man.
There you go. There you go.
So you're accountable to everybody.
All right, now. So how different are you? Because I'm sure most people don't grow up to want to be a judge or an attorney. So what is it when the young Will, when he envisioned his life, who did you want to be? And how different are you from who you wanted to be?
That's a great question. I'm not different from the other Black boys and girls that I knew as a kid, right? I think it's the false narrative that smart, successful Black folk are anomalous, right?
Okay.
We're not. And I think one of the greatest things about Barack Obama becoming president is that we just saw this influx of like incredible Black people who were part of their community, the Obama's community. You
Absolutely.
know? And like regular Black folk, right? I mean, Obama went to Harvard and, Mrs. Obama went to Harvard and Princeton and, but like their community, right? Like Mrs. Obama's parents,
right?
Regular Black folk, working Black folk, regular Black folk. They're just smart and they're hardworking, and they poured those things into their children. And that was my experience.
Okay.
My mother had a master's degree in the 70s, right? My father was valedictorian of his high school and his college classes. He went to FAMU,
right?
Pledged Kappa.
All right.
Greatest fraternity known to God and man, But that's how Black communities raised their children.
Right.
And my parents poured that into me. So I wouldn't say that I was different from the people I was surrounded. And you don't have to go to Harvard or be in whatever is the Harvard kind of environment to grow up and be a successful person. You just got to have people around you who believe in you and hold you accountable.
Absolutely. When did you know you were going to be okay? At what point in your life did you say, you know what? I got this. I can do this.
Maybe when I got out of college. Okay. In college, so I grew up here. I grew up in Memphis. Right. Public school all the way. But I went to college, at a country club. Wake Forest is private. It's wealthy. And I put the wealth in context for you. Wake is small. It's 5,000 kids. Okay. Its endowment is $1 billion.
Whoa.
$1 billion.
Are you serious?
For 5,000 kids. Right?
Are everybody going to school for free?
That's right. So, when you think about like schools with a big name, right? The South is we have a lot of schools with big names, right? Duke, Emory, Vanderbilt. These are the names, right? Right. But then there are all these little bitty schools that have all this. Wake Forest has a bunch of money. Davidson has a bunch of. Kenyon College has a bunch of money. Rhodes here in Memphis has a bunch of money. And so it's just a very different environment. Unless you grow up kind of like a lot of the kids at Wake do. You go to private school and your parents.
Well, hold on, we're gonna get to it. We're gonna get to it. But I get it. It's
just different.
It's crazy. So when you got to college, you realized you were gonna be okay.
When I got out.
When you got out.
Having navigated that environment, I said, okay, if I can do that, I'll be okay.
So most Black men have a moment that they realize, or that they're forced to realize, that they're a Black man.
Sure.
What was that moment like for you?
It's a 2-part moment.
Okay, well, hold on before you start. Listen, we're gonna be right back on the journey where Judge William Perry is going to share with you the moment that he realized he was a brother on the journey right after these messages. Welcome back to The Journey. I'm your host, Larry Robinson, and today, as I said, we were going to have a great one. We got Judge Will Perry, and before we left, Judge Perry was going to share with us the moment that he realized, or a couple moments, that he realized that he was a black man. So, Judge?
Sure. This is a two-part moment for me.
Okay.
So I came home from school one day, and I told my parents that a kid at school said I was talking white. So it was sounding like a white boy talking white. Said black folks don't talk like this. You reading too many books.
Wow.
Right? Now, I told you my parents, civil rights era parents.
Uh-huh.
My dad, valedictorian.
Right.
My mother has a master's degree in the 70s.
Right.
My father looked at me and he said, why would you let somebody else tell you who you are? Ooh. Somebody else can't tell you what it is to be black. You define what it is to be black. If you do it, it's black because you're black. And that moment for me, right? Like we have to define ourselves, right? So if I like to read, I'm not being like someone else. If I like to read, that means black people like to read because I'm reading.
Right.
And I come from two black folk who read.
Right.
It's got to be black.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So that, and I was very young. I was maybe 6,
what a
5 or
moment
6.
for you to have that with your dad.
With my dad,
That's powerful.
So that's part one.
Okay.
Right? So, and that's kind of my framing, right? Like, oh, some people aren't going to think I'm black or that black people are a certain way, right? But I know that not to be true because of who my parents are, because of who they put in me.
Right.
So then I go to country club for college, I go to Wake Forest.
Right.
All of a sudden I'm too black. Public school, Memphis, Tennessee. Oh man. I mean, I was on we had a campus radio show.
Okay.
The Black Student Association called The Struggle.
Okay.
Okay. Which is hilarious, right?
At Wake Forest.
Wake Forest, right. Because we're going to a country club college and we think we're struggling.
Right.
Okay? So we have The Struggle. And I was one of the co-hosts, and one of the guys on the show, we were going to talk about gangs and urban blight. And he said, well, Will, you should probably talk about that, given your background.
Being from Memphis.
I said, given my background, I don't know anything about gangs. Like, what are you talking about? Right. But I had to be. I'm from Memphis. Right. I went to public school. My parents are, they were teachers. They weren't CEOs.
Given your background.
Yeah, given your background. Maybe, Will, you probably should lead this segment.
Wow.
So yeah, and my dad's kind of lesson came back to me, right? That's why you can't allow other people to dictate who you are, because depending on which room you in, people tell you that you're somebody different. You have to decide.
Before you walk in the room.
Before you walk, because you take you, as my mother would say, you take you with you wherever you go.
That's beautiful. Say that one more time.
You take you with you wherever you go.
Your childhood.
Yeah. Strict.
Very strict. You had civil rights parents.
Civil rights parents. That's right.
Tell us one of those memories. Well, better than that. When was the last time you got a whooping? Literally or figuratively?
Yeah. I was 13.
Okay.
I have a baby brother. He's 6 years younger than me. So I was 13, so he was 7 maybe. Okay. Right? And he had done something to tick me off. I don't know what it was, but I shoved him. Okay. My father, 6'2", 220.
Right.
You like to shove people smaller than you?
Oh, whoa.
Pulled me, I'm 13, I'm a teenager. Right. I haven't gotten a whooping since I was 9 or 10. Pulled me in the room, took out a belt, went to work. Okay, went to work. Okay. And then afterwards, he did that thing all kids hate. Now give me a hug because I love you.
No, he didn't.
I want to hug you. Just beat my tail. I want to hug you.
Right.
But that also instilled something in me. My father's this big man, and it kind of instilled in me, like, my dad done beat up on me, done pushed me around. Uh-huh. So it's another kind of like life lesson, right? Also, this is my brother, right? Why am I pushing around my baby brother? I'm supposed to be taking care of him and watching out for him. Can't be knocking my little brother around.
Wow. So parents today.
So my father passed recently.
Okay. Sorry to hear that.
No, it's okay. Appreciate that. So my father was a project manager for 30 years at AT&T. Okay. But he had a chemistry degree. And so when he retired from AT&T, he taught high school at Hollis F. Price, which is the high school on Lemoyne Owens campus. Right. My mother has undergrad and master's degrees in English, career educator. She retired from Ridgeway High School, 11th grade English, but she's taught freshman English at University of Memphis. She's taught adult learners at Southwest. So I come from education on both sides.
Okay, so that leads a great segue. Last 5 jobs you've had.
Last 5 jobs.
Last 5 jobs.
Including this one?
Yeah, including this one.
Including this one. So judge
Okay.
for the last year. Before that, I was a partner at a large law firm. Before that, while I was practicing law, I was a professor at University of Memphis Law School. I taught legal writing as an adjunct there. Before I went to law school, I was a school teacher. So
you followed in the line of educators.
I did.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I stayed at Wake an extra year, and I got a master's degree in education.
Okay.
I was able to do it. It was supposed to be a 2-year program, but Wake allowed you to do it summer to summer. So I went to school year round.
Right.
So I finished a master's degree in a year, and then I taught 8th grade English here in Orange Mound. I taught at Sherwood Middle.
Oh, wow. So you gave back. You went straight to the hood.
It was great.
So you was like, I didn't know about the hood, so I got to go and learn.
Well, it's just that like what you think of is the hood, right? Like this is home. This is Memphis. It doesn't mean I was in a gang.
Right.
Right? Like just because I grew up here doesn't mean I was in a gang. It doesn't mean that I didn't do well in school, or the fact that I did a public school doesn't mean I'm not academically fit.
Right.
Right? I was.
Right.
And so what that gave me to give my students was, you don't have to be the private school.
Beautiful.
And you don't have to write, because I'm here with you. I'm here in front of you. So you don't have any excuses with me, you know?
Right.
I remember the first day I was in the band in high school, which tells you exactly how cool I was. I played saxophone. But you know, we got
cool. But that's super cool.
It was
though.
fun.
Yeah.
But we had we had letter jackets just like the football team.
Right.
So I wore my Craigmont letter jacket to Sherwood one day. My kids went nuts. You went to Mr. Perry went to Craigmont. I mean, it was they were going around, yo, Mr. Perry went to Craigmont. That's not your jacket. Who you take that from, Mr. Perry? You ain't go to Craigmont. We thought you went to Germantown. We thought you ain't go to Craigmont. I was like, yeah, I went to Craigmont. Yes, this is my jacket with my name on it.
Right.
I stole somebody's jacket with my name on it. You know, like I'm talking to them.
Right.
I'm like, yeah, this is you. I'm you. I am
There
you.
you go. That's what I'm talking about.
So it was, I loved it. I loved teaching.
Yeah.
And my kids, you know, I was pretty firm. Several of my former students have recorded videos for me for the campaign.
Right.
And you know, it's 15 years ago. It's been 15 years.
What's been the most touching thing you've heard from a former student?
Some friends of mine, so one of my kids saw, I mean, he's grown. He's probably almost 30 now, right?
Okay.
But one of my kids saw one of my campaign signs, and he posted it on Facebook.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, this is one of my 8th grade teachers, right?
Right.
And so then several kids like commented on the thread, and one of the people I used to teach with sent me this thread.
Oh, wow.
And so it was things like, excuses. Yeah, you can have excuses in Mr. Perry's class. Or Mr. Perry was always playing John Legend in this class. I thought that man was getting high because John Legend said he was getting high. I thought, you know, like the kids
right.
But they remember all of these things.
Right.
And then like the last 3 comments were, I still remember every poem he made me memorize. That man was real. No cap, 100%, that man was real. Those are the last 3 comments on the thread.
That's beautiful.
I'm like, man, 15 years later?
But it's because they could tell you cared.
And I love those kids. I love those kids.
And you can tell by the look on your face. And I mean, that's a real genuine. So, you know, man, but I always remembered the instructors that cared.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You know?
It was a great time. And, you know, I was teaching, so I started teaching in 2005.
Okay.
So this is when Barack Obama becomes ascendant, right?
Right.
So I got Obama posters in my classroom. I've got his books in class. And I'm like, this is us. This can be you, you know?
Right.
I was bringing in, because it was so inspiring for me as an adult to see like Mr. and Mrs. Obama's circles, like all of these extraordinary Black people who came from like regular backgrounds. So I started bringing my friends into class to like talk to my kids. So one of my buddies whose mom raised me along with my parents, he's an engineer. Well, his mama was a math teacher. Of course he's good at engineering. He became an engineer. Brought him in to talk to my kids. Got a buddy who left school, became a truck driver. Okay. Brought him in to talk to my kids. Had some friends who were pharmacists. And these are all like Black people in their 20s. Okay. And so my kids, not only do you like have this model, right? And you've been hearing me fuss at you and say, no, you're gonna do this, you can do it. Right. But now you're seeing young Black people, this like constant stream coming in and talking to you and saying, impression. I'm you, I went to school just like you did. Right. You know, several of my Craigmont classmates came in and like, nah, he really did go to Craigmont. We were there with him. We were all there together, you know.
So now I gotta ask you.
It was a great experience.
We talked about the whooping.
Yeah.
And you know, we know that many of us got away with a lot of stuff that we would have gotten a whooping for.
Sure.
I'm gonna ask you, looking back over the time, was there a time in your life that you was like, man, I will hope my dad or my mom never finds out about this moment, or I deserve a whooping today?
Yeah. I almost flunked out of school my last semester of college.
Wait a minute. You done went all the way through school and you decided to wait till that's when the grade's supposed to be going up.
Last semester, I had broken up with this girl, and so I was trying to heal my broken heart by chasing girls on 10 different campuses at once.
That was easy in North Carolina.
Well, I had pledged Kappa as a senior.
Right.
So my Wake didn't have a Kappa chapter, so my line brothers and I pledged over at Winston-Salem State. So we pledged that fall, and so that spring, broke up with the girl, broke my heart, and then I had access to all these campuses, and so I was going everywhere but class. And so I had terrible grades.
So what was the conversation like with the parents? Or was there one?
So I talked to my professors who, by the grace of God, did not flunk me. You know, I turned in papers. I was an English major. I'm turning in papers late. By the grace of God, those professors did not flunk me out of school.
Right.
Let me turn in my stuff. And I did the work just late and,
Right.
I wrote all of them, actually, when I got into law school. I wrote each of them a letter and said, thank you for giving me some grace. I want you to know I've made good on it. You know, I didn't ask any of them for references for law school. I got in, and then I wrote them to say thank you.
Right.
But my graduation present from my parents was, please never look at my transcript from my last semester. That's my graduation. To this day, my parents have never seen my transcript from my last semester in college.
Wow.
I said, I don't want anything. You know, my parents are educated, but they were teachers. We didn't have any money, so I wasn't gonna get like a car or anything anyway.
Right.
But I said, I don't want anything for graduation. Just please don't look at my just don't look at my transcript. In fact, when I started grad school, the dean brought me in. We had to have a talk because my last semester grades were so different from the rest. Like, hey man,
what happened?
You in grad school now? You can't come in because you apply in the fall.
Right.
When my grades were good.
Right.
And so, but they get the whole transcript.
Right.
And so sat down with me and said, I hope you don't think you're about to do this in graduate school. And I said,
Right.
no, I'm not. It was an anomaly. I'm going to get my act together.
Right.
But yeah, that was my.
So you've gone all around the world and you've come back and you're back in Memphis teaching Sherwood, gone through the law practice, now judge. What role did Memphis play in your development?
When you are from Memphis gets a bad rap everywhere outside of Memphis. Perhaps like nowhere worse than the rest of Tennessee. Like if you go to Nashville and you say I'm from Memphis, people respond to you like you got the plague.
Right.
So I think what that instills in you is a lot of Memphis pride.
Right.
I took some of that with me to Wake. Like I used to wear, when I was younger, I used to wear my resume on my sleeve, right? Like I had a point of pride. Oh, you from Memphis? You just said, yeah, but my ACT score is better than yours. I had we used to laugh at some of the, the guys that, where I told you Wake is a country club.
Right.
I used to laugh at what we used to call the pink polo shirt crew.
Okay.
They'd come in all from private schools, all from, and they just assumed that they were masters of the universe.
Right.
We'd have these debates about like affirmative action in class, and sometimes they'd get heated. Like you took my friend's spot. My friend would be here, but for you, and you took my friend's spot.
Wow.
And I said, well, I'm either smarter than your friend or smarter than you because my test scores were in this percentile. So are you the dummy or is your friend? I was real. Wow. I wore my resume on my sleeve because I had a chip on my shoulder. And I think some of that's from Memphis. Like, yes, I'm from Memphis. Yes, I went to public school, but we have something. We got something to give the world.
Right.
You're not going to talk to me crazy. I don't care who your daddy is. I don't care where you went to school. I think Memphis gives you that.
That is Memphis through and through.
I think Memphis gives you
not
that.
being from Memphis originally, that is something that is a Memphis characteristic.
I think Memphis gives you
What is that called? Memphis AF?
Yeah, Memphis AF. I like it, like when the Grizz got here,
Yes.
we started calling that grit grind. Like the grit grind. But that, to native Memphians, at least of a certain age,
Right.
I just turned 40, so I'm coming to grips with that.
Right.
But grit grind is new.
Right.
That's like a new, when I was 10, 11, 12, fighting on the playground or, playing basketball with my friends, we weren't talking about grit grind. Like this is who you are.
Right.
This is from Memphis.
Right.
And I think grit grind is kind of, the Grizz gave us that kind of like moniker, I guess, for the way we like Memphis swag.
Right.
But yeah, I think if you're from Memphis, especially if you come up in Memphis City schools, right? Kind of the lesson that my dad gave me, like you have to define yourself.
Right.
If you come out of a Memphis school, you had to.
Right.
Right. You have to say this is who I am and this is what it's gonna be.
Yeah.
And so when you go somewhere else, you don't have any tolerance for other people trying to tell you who you are, what your limits are.
Exactly.
Like this is who I am.
Fantastic. This is beautiful. I'm hating that this interview is coming to an end. But so, real quick, what greatest success? When you look back over these last few years of your life, what's one thing you point to say, I'm proud of that?
My students. The fact that my students, 15 years later, support me, have recorded videos for me for this campaign. I'm putting out yard signs. Yeah. One of my kids sent me a picture the other day of his son. Right now, I taught him when he was 13. He's now, 28, 29. Right. It's a picture of his son standing next to a yard sign. And the caption under said, Dorian says, push for Perry.
That's beautiful, man.
That's,
well, listen, we got one of the people that work here at KUDZUKIAN. And his grandson, they saw that they put another sign in the yard. He tore down the other sign and said, what's this, Mom? And he said, no, because we were all for Perry. We were down with Perry. And he said, no, they running for another seat. It was not the same judge seat. So yeah, great. you got some raving fans out there, man. So listen, if you could talk to your younger self, you could go back there and sit across the table and give them some game. What would you say? What would you say to him?
It depends on which younger self I'm talking
Okay,
to.
so let's say the younger self in middle school, right after you pushed your brother.
Okay. 13 years old.
Okay.
5'2".
Okay.
Got braces. Plastic frame glasses, which weren't cool back then.
Right.
I would say to the 13-year-old Will, give it time.
Give it time.
Just give it time.
Okay.
I grew 4 inches between 8th grade and 9th grade.
Wow.
So I'm 13, I'm the second shortest boy in 8th grade, right? Like, when are the girls? How am I gonna grow? What do I need to do?
Just give it time. Be patient.
And be yourself.
Okay.
Don't try to be cool. Don't try to be LL Cool J.
Right,
Just be yourself and give it time.
All right, this last question. Last request.
Okay.
Many young boys, young men, trying to figure it out are watching you, listening to you right now. I'd like you to look into that camera and leave them with a Perryism, something that they can take from this episode of the journey.
I would say, not everybody can be Michael Jordan. Not everybody can be Barack Obama. Not everybody can be Oprah. But everybody can sit down and read. Everybody can do his homework. Everybody can show up to work on time. My dad always said, you have to divide the world into things you control and things that you don't. You need to focus on those things. There's so many things in the world you don't control. You don't control who your parents are. You don't control how much money your family has when you're born. But the things that you can control, working hard, treating people well, valuing kindness and honesty and hard work more than superficial things, you have 100% control over that. And those are the things that in the long run, those are the things that matter.
So as Barack Obama said, if you're walking down the right path, keep walking, because it'll get right. Path to straighten out. If you're going through a storm, keep going. Get to the other side, because it's going to be beautiful on the other side. Listen, I'm your host, Larry Robinson. For our guest, Judge Will Perry. Thank you for watching The Journey. Till the next time, take care. Thank you to our partner, the Grand Boulé of Sigma Pi Phi Fraternity Delta Chapter. To hear more incredible stories like this, be sure to download the KUDZUKIAN app from the App Store or Google Play, or check out the Journey Memphis podcast on all your major podcast providers. Also, check us out on the KUDZUKIAN Network.